everyone, and welcome to another episode of Disqualified. I am Trevin, joined as always by Caleb.
Hola.
And Zach, as always, is behind the camera.
We are here to talk about NXT. So, fellas, how's it going first and foremost?
Going pretty good. As always, NXT cooked.
Zach, how are we feeling?
I'm tired as always.
You got to see Oba on the show, though.
Yeah.
And he has a pretty big match announced for Stand and Deliver.
Yeah.
But
we'll get to that.
Speaking about Stand and Deliver, there is another big opportunity that is going to be set up. And why is that, Trevin June?
So, we open the show with Ava and Stephanie standing there. Stephanie La Primera holding both titles. But we got good news and bad news about those two titles. The bad news. Stephanie is vacating the NA champion to make sure she can solely focus on the women's championship.
The good news that comes off of that is we get a 6-woman ladder match at Stand and Deliver for the North American Championship.
Yep.
And it's the first way that this belt got inaugurated. It was also the first way that the men's got inaugurated. So it just seems like ladder match is the way to go.
Yeah.
I love it. We've already seen 2 qualifiers. I was going to ask who we see moving on, but two of the people that I saw moving on have already qualified.
Yes. And before the promo ends, Stephanie says, I'm vacating this on the condition that I get to pick my Stand and Deliver opponent for the women's championship.
And not even a second later, woo!
Jordan Grace calls her shot with some decent argument points of like, hey, I held that knockout championship for real long. You and me definitely have been eyeing a match against each other. And who else interrupts but who? Jordan.
Miss Parker.
Yep, calling for a rerun with the reasoning of if Jordan wasn't out there last week, you wouldn't need to vacate one of your titles because you would only have one title.
Yeah, but then Jordan also claps back saying like, look, you don't know anything about championships, mainly because you haven't held one, but you're at the back of the line now.
Yep, and they start arguing, going back and forth more, and like Stephanie just says, hey,
looks like you two need to figure this out.
Yep.
And so we get...
They squabble.
Yeah, they squabble. So next week, we are getting Jordan Grace versus Jada Parker, presumably #1 contendership for the Women's NXT Championship, which is funny because Stephanie's supposed to pick her opponent.
Yep.
But I feel like this is going to be #1 contendership pretty much.
I feel like basically this is #1 contendership. Could still end up in a triple threat. But I feel like
Seems to be the theme this year, multi-man matches.
yeah. But I feel like due to the fact, as we will spoil later, that there is already a triple threat on the card, it is probably a 1v1. But who's qualifying for that ladder match?
Well, you see, we get some solo action from 2 tag stars. So, first, representing Zaruka, because it was actually
Officially canonized after the results of this match.
And on their TikTok.
Yeah, Zarya
Versus.
is entering the ring against Lash Legend of the Meta 4 and the Meta Girls. These 2 ladies had a phenomenal match.
Yup.
It was just great watching 2 powerhouses go at it. Very much the story of Zarya being frustrated because she can't outmuscle this opponent.
Nope.
And this opponent is outmuscling her.
Yeah. So she had to go a little more tactical.
Yep, but she picks up the win in the end with her F5.
Yup.
And, yeah.
She moves on.
And we get another match, but that will happen later on.
Yup. But our next piece of action is Hank and Tank are still trying to find their gimmick, find their place in the business, and This week, their advice comes from none other
Yes, boy!
than Pretty Deadly. As coming back from commercial break, we just see Hank and Tank
In
dressed
their
like them.
little, what did Corey Graves call it? A super crop top?
Yeah.
Reminiscent very much of Pretty Deadly's gear. And they're like, well, no, look, like, if you want to be stars, you gotta dress like a star.
Yup.
And they're like, we don't feel comfortable in this.
Nope. And then their opponents for their upcoming match, No Quarter Catch Crew, walk past them and just laugh at them, being like, y'all look stupid.
Yeah, they say, you look like you're about to get your ass whipped. And they take off the shirts. They say, we're going to go change into our actual gear.
Yep.
And I believe it is Kit Wilson is the brunette, I believe. He says, well, I think you got it still. So,
Yeah.
what tag team are they bringing next?
I don't know.
What tag team are they bringing next? We saw TNA.
Yeah, we saw TNA. We
Saw 2 SmackDown now.
Yep.
Back-to-back weeks.
We need a Raw rep.
Who's the Oh, no. It's the fucking Alpha Academy.
Oh no. It could be War Raiders.
I don't think it's going to be the War Raiders.
No.
I think the War Raiders right now are going to be too tied up with their New Day thing, especially because if I'm the War Raiders, I am not going. I mean, they both had reigns with the titles, I believe, but I'm not going somewhere where it was the last place that
Yep.
Woods and Kofi held tag gold.
Yeah. But before we get into the match, speaking of other brand reps in the tag circuit, we see for the first time on NXT in the audience, the top tag stars on Evolve.
Yes, swipe right. Brad
Yeah.
Baylor, and I'm forgetting the second man's name.
Yeah, the first time Evolve and the
Just division in general is
Yeah.
getting represented and brought up.
on other TV besides just the ads.
Yeah, because they've even talked about it Monday.
Yeah.
Michael Cole talked about it, so I assume Joe Tessitore is going to talk about it Friday.
Yeah.
And I mean, hey, get all the eyes on Evolve you can. It's free. It's on Tubi.
Yeah.
It has ads, but hey, I prefer ads. Like literally watching, just watching TV because I use the Spectrum app to watch NXT and SmackDown. Just watching that and having okay, I have this amount of time to leave, get whatever I need.
Yeah.
I can use the bathroom, get food, get a drink, and come back.
Yeah.
I missed that rush of, oh shit, it's on, so you have to run to your room.
Age ourselves, but yeah.
Traffic. We're young. I mean, we're young-ish. He's old. I mean, he's young. You're old. You're the oldest.
Yeah.
He's the youngest. Sorry, I got it mixed up.
Yeah.
Aren't you guys the same damn age?
I'm
No?
a few months older.
2000.
Yeah. I'm a whole 3 months older.
Yep, and I am 27 days older than Gordon. Not even a full month.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so getting into the match, we see Hank and Tank just continue to try to work, try to
Yeah.
get better as a tag team, I guess.
The story they're going with after what in these events of this episode is they're trying to find a gimmick that works. Because I feel like they're playing on, I mean, what you've kind of commented in past episodes of, you feel like that the whole comedy trucker gimmick doesn't have longevity. So I feel like they're playing on that internet stigma and being like, how do we turn this into a story that helps both push them and helps possibly give that gimmick longevity?
I feel it feels very new generation era, and that was the era right before the Attitude Era. So this is where you had all of the occupation gimmicks. You had the Repo Man. I believe there was also a garbage man. You had a dude from the MLB or the MLB that was there because they were on strike. You also had I'm forgetting the hockey player's name, but you had him. I think it might have been the Goonie. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But like you had these occupational gimmicks, and this feels very much an occupational gimmick. Like 40 years or 30 years too late. Like you missed the boat completely.
Yeah.
But in the end, they pick up their third loss in a row.
Yup.
So, not so great distant shores for Hank and Tank.
Yeah.
Or as I'm going to start calling them, Hant and Tant.
Yeah, we have a little whiteboard of notes, and he misspelled their name.
I misspelled the K, which is funny because my name starts with a K.
Yeah.
I forgot the thing that makes me unique.
Yeah. And next up, some long-awaited information in the form of a D'Angelo Mafia intel meeting.
Yeah, so they break down each of the members of Dark State. And
Yep.
we finally have the two other lads' names. Well, I knew the third lad. I just did not think that they were going to go with this generic of a name for the last guy, but they did. So, we're going to go with the most... Should we go with the best names to the most disappointing?
Let's go in order of the intel. So, the former NXT star before he joined Dark State, Dion Lennox, they explained like he was pretending he was a bookworm in his first run in NXT. Now he's back a little more angry or a little more vengeful, a little more his true self.
Mm-hmm.
But don't get us wrong, he's still real smart. Like he's got degrees to show for it, but he's also a hothead. They bring up how he broke a teammate's jaw for missing a play in his college career.
That is very Draymond Green coded.
Yeah.
With the Warriors.
Yeah. Then we can bring up the other two.
All right. So, I believe first was Osiris.
Yeah.
So Osiris Griffin, they describe him as the thinker of the group. Like he looks like the big meathead, but he's actually the thinker. He does all of the planning. He has all this intel on people. Now we get to the most disappointing name, and it sounds wrong, and I believe the reason why it sounds wrong is because the Chicago Bears had a quarterback called Jay Cutler. And they did not want people to get confused. So instead of naming him correctly, they just reverse his name. So his name is Cutler James.
Yup.
Not gonna lie, don't think I've ever met a single Cutler in my life.
I haven't met an Osiris.
I haven't met a Dion either.
We need to get out more.
Yes, we do. But yeah, so Cutler James, he was a wrestler at Duke.
Yes.
And then Tony laughs. He's like, oh, I know why I didn't like him.
Duke.
But yeah, so that's pretty much
Yes.
all the info on him was that he was a great wrestler. And now,
Yes.
my favorite member of the group, Saquon Sugars.
Yep. And they're like, and Stax is actually the one who was in charge of gathering info on him, and he's like, I had to pull out every resource I had, and I got scraps compared to the other three. Like,
Yeah, they said all he knows is that he is a street kid from DC. and that
charismatic AF.
charismatic, can get people to follow him, and he turned down a offer from Harvard.
Yep. And Tony looks up at that being like, why? And he's like, that was the extent of my resources.
Yeah, but this is not the last we'll hear about Dark State. We'll definitely see them in this
Yep.
segment coming up,
Yeah.
which
At
is
the, yeah.
Ava
Yes.
comes out and announces.
Yes. By the way, at the end of this, we get another little tease that Stax might be leaving the family as they as Tony and him question each other's trust again. Because Tony basically takes charge, being like, no more group planning. They attacked me. I'm taking the lead in all our future plans to take these guys down.
Yeah. And then Stacks was like, are you sure? He was like, I feel like I can handle it. He's like, no, the last time you had a plan, I got laid out.
Yeah.
So, but Tony, you agreed to the plan, and you said he's thinking like the underboss, so...
Yeah. But now it's time for the Don, the big boss.
Is it only a bad plan when it happens to you?
You get squashed.
But, so, Trick is in the ring.
Yeah,
he's talking about his past.
Yes.
In NXT.
His NXT career, being like, I've made a few friends. I've made a lot of enemies. I lost a brother to get better in this business.
And here comes Javon Evans, that boy bouncy.
Yep, and he's like, Trick, we get it. You don't feel right, but it's like, you have been talking smack for a while. And I feel like you're just proving that you're nothing without a title around your waist. You know who you sounded a lot like these past couple months?
Carmelo Hayes and the just... What the fuck did you just say? Like, that was a... Say one more fucking word. Say one more word. Just give me a reason to beat you.
Yep. And before Javon could take up that offer...
Well, that's because Javon said he's like, you got to really think about it. I think you're just mad because I'm the only one, and everyone else has tried. I'm the only one that took down Oba.
Yep.
And...
Yep.
Here comes Oba, a very pissed off Oba.
Yep.
He said,
and he's like,
Javon, why don't you try talking that trash to me when I'm in your face?
And Trick starts talking like, finally I get your attention. And Oba's just like, Trick, time for you to shut up.
And I love Javon going, shut your ass up.
Yep.
Just a little.
Yep. And then Oba looks at Javon as being like, that's right. You dropped me, but last week I proved it ain't happening again.
Yep. And before they could come to blows, here comes Ava making the triple threat match official at Stand and Deliver for the men's NXT championship.
It will be your champion, Oba. It will be Javon Evans and your former champion looking for his Trick Williams.
Trick Willie.
In the main event of Stand and Deliver.
Yeah, but that was not all for this segment. So,
nope.
Here comes Dark State.
Yep. Trick dips out of that ring, further adding to the stipulation of he might be leading them.
I think he got pushed out.
Yeah.
I think he got pushed out the ring because they started to come to blows.
Yeah.
And then Dark State capitalizes, and this time they storm the ring. They actually take down Oba. Saquon straight away goes for Javon.
Yep. They show off a new faction tag move.
Poor Javon.
Where two of them... Wait, no. Was it two of them who did the...
I think it was three of them.
Yeah.
And poor Javon, bro. If you watch the clip, you'll notice he lands back first, smack dab right on a microphone.
Yup. Ow.
Like, I saw that and I said, oh!
Yeah, Trick also got there. Sorry. Spoiler alert, Trick comes into the ring. They stare each other down, and it is confirmed Trick ain't the leader because they beat the snot out of him.
I don't know. I've seen this before. I've seen their faction leaders get jumped by their faction.
They did a 4-man power bomb of him on a
Ali
mic.
got jumped by Retribution. And then he was the leader.
Yeah. But
like, it happens.
Yeah. Later in the show, Ava announces that Dark State wants to run some stuff. They want attention. They're going to get attention. Their debut match, 6-man tag of 3 reps of Dark State, which the promo card looks like it'll be everyone except Saquon Sugars.
Don't put my fucking dog in the ring!
Yeah. Versus The main event of Stand and Deliver as a team.
This reminds me of some good old-fashioned Shield days. Yeah, just put the Shield up against Evolution. We'll see what happens. Yeah, no big deal. Just one of the better factions in history. But so they're gonna put them against the main event. I think we see these three men go over.
Yep.
Whichever three men decide to partake.
Classic will they, won't they story, and the answer is probably gonna be they won't.
Now I see the main event breaking out into a brawl between the three participants of the main event at Stand and Deliver, and then the last member of Dark State just comes in and they just jump and pick the bones.
Yep.
But moving on.
Speaking of main event, this episode's main event.
No.
Oh, sorry. I forgot about my little arrow.
The worst arrow I've ever seen.
My bad.
We get your second qualifier match of the night. So in a backstage segment, Kalani Jordan is talking to Ava saying, "Look, I already won the belt in the ladder
won it
match.
in the ladder match.
I'm the first champion. Like, this is for me. Just put me in, coach. Just put me in." And Roxanne goes, "Well, no. I'm the prodigy.
Yep.
The only thing I haven't
I'm NXT's history maker.
The only thing I haven't done is win the North American Championship."
Yep. Become the first woman's NXT Triple Crown champion.
I'm trying to think, is that correct?
No.
Yeah. No. It would have to be. She would have to be, because there wasn't a third title there. Yeah. No, she would be the first women's Triple Crown winner. But getting to the match, spoiler, she is not going to be that first Triple Crown winner. After a very, very good back and forth tactical match, Kalani Jordan comes out on top of the split-legged moonsault.
Yeah. Roxanne, and a couple reactors are like, Roxanne's in You're Gonna Get Called Up Purgatory. This makes sense. It was a good showing if she doesn't have a Stand and Deliver match.
The thing I just don't understand is why isn't Roxanne just on the Stand and Deliver card? Yeah. Like, I don't want to do like the rehash Cody returning. I don't want to do that with like have her do an open challenge and get another debut in, but then you bloat the roster more, and we're getting rid of the roster. We're getting rid of some of the main players of the roster, moving them up, and then the main roster is going to become more bloated. Yeah. There's some signing news too after we get through this that I need to speak about, because it's going to bloat the main roster even more. But yeah, so Kalani moves on. The two participants that I already thought were going to be in the match, Zarya and Kalani.
Yep. And Soruka is confirmed to have her qualifier match next week.
I can see Soruka being added to this match.
Yep.
Depending on who she's facing.
Yes.
If it's someone like Jakara, unfortunately, Jakara is just there to take pins, it seems. Like, they never have Jakara actually win the matches. It's usually Lash. But she could go on there. I'm thinking I also want... I mean, for me, selfishly, I want Tatum Paxley in that match.
Yeah.
Because I think she needs gold. Like, she's earned it. She's got the weird gimmick over of girl who plays with dolls. Spoopy. But moving on to somewhat spoopy gimmick of the culling.
Yes.
So, before the match, we see a little vignette.
Yeah.
Little promo package from the culling. Basically, once again, thanking Shawn Spears for picking and plucking them out of mediocrity and, putting some shine on them.
Yeah, this is weird.
It's weird. It's very cult-like. It's very, very cult-like. And
as someone who reads a lot of fantasy stuff, I dig the vibe, but it's freaky.
As someone who's watched a lot of video essays about cults, this seems like a cult.
Yes.
So we enter your North American Championship main event. Ricky Saints is going up against your champion, Shawn Spears. And I thought going into this match, hey, if Shawn doesn't have nameplates, he's losing. Well, he had nameplates, and he still lost. This was transitional as transitional can be.
Yup.
Ricky Saints.
They did a whole little TikTok and Instagram thing about the calling being there for the plate change. Like, Izzy Dame handed it back to Sean after the plates got the final screw in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, again, cult vibes, immaculate. They're a little creepy sometimes.
Yeah, there's no sugarcoating it. It's the biggest news currently going. Ricky Saints wins his first WWE Championship by defeating Shawn Spears.
In his second singles match since coming to WWE.
In his third match in total, making him the fastest winner in NXT history.
Which pisses off the previous holder of the record.
But we're going to get to that later. I need to talk about the way this match was booked.
Yeah.
Ricky. Like you a lot. Sean, I think you're doing great in terms of like booking the shows. Not Shawn Spears. Shawn Michaels. The fuck was this? Ricky Saints, like, this was me. Okay, look. This is a reference that these two will get. This is after Zach whipped my ass in 2K25, and I took it out on you by whipping you in 2K25.
Oh,
this
I
is
played as Tozawa.
This is like how it happened. Like straight up, Shawn Spears got little to no offense in the match.
He did drop him on some steel steps.
Cool. Any other notable offense you want to note? Okay, so backdrop on steel stairs. Ricky Saints then goes on to take out the other two male members of the Calling when they try to get involved. And then he eats a title to the face. 1-2 kick out.
Man was on demon time.
Then reverses and move thieves the C4. And then hits the Rochambeau for the 1-2-3.
Yeah. Demon time, Ricky.
This is the only man that can beat Obafemi. No, I don't think you understand. Do you know how strong you have to be to take out an entire faction by yourself?
Pretty strong.
Also, the crowd chanting. So after Ethan Page comes in and wrecks shop, he lays out Ricky Saints. He picks up the title, and you hear audible Tony fumbled chants. But, hey, I'm not tribalistic like that. I could not give a fuck. I hope they do well. I really do.
More competition equals better business deals.
Better business. But yeah, no, I completely agree with what people on Twitter are saying. Yeah, people should do that if Swerve wins at Dynasty. Of Hunter fumbled. Even though it wasn't Hunter's decision, it was Vince's decision, but still. But yeah, that's the show.
Yeah.
That is your NXT show. So yeah, going into next week, we have 2 more qualifying matches.
Yep.
We have a Dark State making their in-ring debut in a 6-man tag.
We have
Hank and Tank probably in another tag
in
match.
a promo we didn't cover, we did get confirmed that next week, Wes Lee versus Inumura in a 1v1.
Yeah, because that was supposed to happen last night, but then they moved it.
Yeah.
But hey, next week is looking pretty decent stacked. This has been it from us here at Disqualified. I had to turn it into a jingle to get it right the first time. But this has been Caleb, your main roster predictions champion. That is Trevin.
Oh.
That is Zach behind that camera as always. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your time. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell 3 times so you know the match is over. Once again, thank you for your time and peace.
Bye!